Hey everyone, Pastor Patrick Walker. Welcome. We are in Genesis chapter 2. One of the things that stood out in verse 18 was when God said to Adam, "It is not good for man to be alone. I will make a helper suitable for him." He had given Adam the responsibility to name all the animals, male, female, male, female, male, female. They're coming by him. And there was no one of similar nature to himself. God recognizes the need to create a woman as a partner for the man. But what is interesting, now, I didn't write this. You don't need to get mad at me. I love this passage. I always tease my wife. She teases me right back. All right. Verse 18, it says, "It's not good that man should be alone. I will create of all the terms that he could have used, a helper suitable for him." So immediately, again, I see from the initial chapters of Genesis that the Lord is designating the man as the spiritual leader, as the leader in the relationship. That's his purpose. And we see that here. And number one, man comes first. Number two, God recognizes that a woman is needed to be a helper to the man. Verse 20, "But for Adam no suitable helper was found. So the Lord caused the man to fall into a deep sleep. As he was sleeping, took one of his ribs, closed up the place. And from that rib, God made Eve." God made the woman. And it says, "He had taken out of the man and brought to the man." So he takes, the woman was created from the man, and once created was brought to Adam so that Adam would name her. Again, the naming of something speaks of authority over. "The man said, 'This is now bone of my bones and flesh of my flesh. She shall be called woman, for she was taken out of the man.'" She came from man. Man came first. Woman came from man. God brought the woman to the man to name her, and Adam names her Eve, which means the mother of all living. And he goes on to say, verse 24, I shouldn't leave this out, "A man will leave his father and mother and will be united to his wife, and they will become one flesh." So that one flesh union is to be a mirror image of the union that exists in the midst of the Trinity and would later exist between Christ and the church. We know there's no marriage in heaven. We don't fully understand that. Whatever relationship we have with the Father in heaven is going to be totally sufficient. I assume that I'm going to know my wife. I mean, especially, can you imagine living for 50 years here on this earth as best friends? Of course, you're going to know one another, going to have a great relationship, but it's not going to be, Jesus says there's not going to be marriage like we know it on earth. I don't know what that means. Especially for those, because he was questioned in that context. What about the woman that was married to 7 different men because her husband's died? Who's going to be married to her in heaven? And he rebukes him and says, you have earthly thinking, and marriage on earth is not going to exist in heaven. So I don't know the full extent of that, but one more thing I will say in chapter 3, verse 20, it says that, and I had mentioned this, it says that Adam named the woman. And do you remember part of the curse after they ate from the tree? Adam blames the woman blames the serpent, but as God is dealing with each one and basically saying, hey, this is the consequences, this is the punishment, he gets to the woman, he says, your punishment, your pains in childbirth are going to be greatly increased. So can you imagine? Oh, women would have had it so great. Imagine giving birth with virtually no pain whatsoever. It would have been wonderful. All right. And your desire will be for your husband, but he will rule over you. Now, I take that word desire as in I want to be in control, but God has made the man to rule. God has made the man to be the leader. Now, in my relationship with my wife, love compels me to attempt to put her needs first. And of course, we've got scriptural commands, but also her heart to, submit to one another in the course of our relationship. If true love truly attempts to put the other person first. So I know this is abused, but we see in the beginning parts of Genesis and then later on all throughout Scripture that God has positioned the man to be the one that is ultimately held accountable in that marriage relationship. And I feel the weight of that responsibility on my shoulders. I screw that up quite frequently. Got to apologize, and it's amazing. My wife is my best helper. She is my greatest asset. She's wonderful. She's amazing. She can do anything. So I really see these verses being played out in my life, which is truly a blessing and a great responsibility. All right, until next time, God bless.